Seerah Course, Episode 5, The Battle of Badr. Within 2 years of the establishment of a Muslim state in Medina, the first battle in Islam took place. Upon hearing of a Meccan trade caravan led by Abu Sufyan returning from Syria, the Muslims of Medina began to make plans of intercepting it. The objective of intercepting this caravan was to make up for all the personal wealth they had to leave behind in Mecca. Abu Sufyan, having numerous spies in the region, got the news of a possible interception of his caravan by the Muslims, and in an effort to prevent the occurrence of such a catastrophe, he quickly sent out a messenger to inform the Meccans of this new development in order to prepare an army to march out toward the Muslims. Furious with the news they had received, the Meccans marched out with 1,000 fighters and a large number of camels at their disposal. The Muslims, unaware of the developments in Mecca, left Medina with only 314 men, with 70 camels at their disposal. And while Abu Sufyan managed to change his route of return and ensure his caravan to safety, the Meccan army chiefs had decided to continue marching toward the Muslims, as it presented an opportunity to strike a big blow to the Muslims. When the Muslims got news of the approaching Meccan army, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, facing the dilemma of several options, decided to consult his companions on the right course of action. Despite an initial phase of hesitancy from some of the companions, a collective decision was taken to go forth with battle. Allah had revealed the verse promising Prophet Muhammad victory well before the battle was set to happen. Remember, O believers, when Allah promised you one of the two groups, that it would be yours, and you wished that the unarmed one would be yours. But Allah intended to establish the truth by His words and to eliminate the disbelievers, that He should establish the truth and abolish falsehood, even if the criminals disliked it. Surah Al-Anfal, verses 7 and 8. In Badr, the water wells are located on the eastern side of the valley. As the Muslims arrived from the east, Prophet Muhammad decided on forming his army at the first well he had encountered. One of the companions, by the name of Hubab ibn al-Mundhir, asked the Prophet if this decision was based on divine revelation or of his own. And upon Prophet Muhammad responding that it was from the latter, Hubab suggested to occupy the farthest well closest to the Meccan army, while blocking off other wells to prevent the Meccans any access to water. Satisfied with the proposed strategy, Prophet Muhammad decided on the course of action suggested by Hubab. This was an example of the many times Prophet Muhammad wouldn't only consult his companions, but even listen to their suggestions and make changes to his initial strategies for better alternatives. As reassurance for his beloved Prophet, Allah had revealed to Muhammad, peace be upon him, the sending down of angels in aiding him to victory. Allah mentions in the Holy Quran, "For sure Allah helped you at Badr when you were utterly weak, so be mindful of Allah, perhaps you will be thankful." Remember when you said to the believers, "Is it not sufficient for you that your Lord will reinforce you with 3,000 angels sent down?" Yes, if you remain patient and conscious of Allah while the enemy comes upon you attacking, your Lord will reinforce you with 5,000 angels, having marks of distinction. Surah Ali Imran, verses 124 through 126. It had rained in Badr the night before the day of the battle, and while the Prophet spent the whole night in prayer and supplication, Allah had placed a sense of comfort in the hearts of the Muslims, enough to put them to sleep for the night, as He mentions. Remember when He overwhelmed you with drowsiness, giving security from Him, and sent down upon you from the sky rain by which to purify you and remove you from the evil whisperings of Satan, and to make steadfast your hearts, and plant firmly thereby your feet. Surah Al-Anfal, verse 11. The rain sent down by Allah on that night was a blessing for the Muslims, while a cause of inconvenience for the non-Muslims. In the absence of rain, the desert sand is difficult to walk in, while an excess in rain causes the terrain to become muddy. The rain on that night was just the right amount, making the side where the Muslims were firm ground for easier movement. Their ability to sleep before such an enormous battle allowed them to be fresh before the start of the battle. On the day of Badr, the Muslims, helped by the angels sent down by Allah the Almighty, were overwhelmingly victorious. Causing 70 casualties to the Meccans and taking 70 more as prisoners, This was an enormous day for Muslims and Islam. They suffered 14 casualties, but with only 314 men, they had overcome an army of 1,000, with the promise of Allah coming forth as the truth. Among the many lessons we learn from Badr, we learn that despite Allah's promise of victory, Prophet Muhammad took every step necessary and possible to ensure victory for the Muslims. Our dependence in Allah goes in harmony with taking the means to achieve our desired goals. The Meccans headed back to Mecca, promising to return back the following